Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Alberto23, and today I'm going to be explaining how to perform the zombie hover glitch. This glitch exists in both the HD version and the GameCube version. It's seen a lot more in the GameCube version because of the fact that in the GameCube version, you have the tingle tuner that can heal you mid zombie hover, because if you just touch the ground without healing, you die. So you need a way to heal after zombie hovering, or else it's useless. But also in the GameCube version, you can enter loading zones while dead, but you can't in the HD version. They won't trigger if you're dead. So that's the main differences. In the HD version, zombie hovering is only used to reach that final platform of the puppy cannon room without the hookshot, because otherwise you have no other way to reach it. And you can also use it to skip puppy cannon. So you can see two different uses of zombie hovering in the HD version. I'm going to be explaining the glitch on the HD version. However, the majority of things that I explained are true on the GameCube version as well. So this tutorial will work on either version. So to start off, I'm going to be in hero mode, because hero mode allows me to damage down faster. So this is this option right here. I'm going to select it, and that will turn on hero mode, and then I will start. I'm in Italian. I'm just in the Italian language. Don't worry about it. So to start off, I'm going to damage down, because you need to go down to 0 hertz. So we're going to get to that final hit. I'm going to show off the very first part of zombie hovering, which is the easiest part. That is the liftoff. So for liftoff, you want to get off the ground. So when Link gets hit on his very, very final hit, there's a 10-frame window where the final 10 frames of Link standing up, you can input a jump slash, and I'll show what it looks like. Here we go. So I input a jump slash, but because I'm dead, the game canceled my jump slash. So then we can start mashing B to do mid-air jump slashes, and you have to mash 7.5 times per second to maintain height at even, and you can mash upwards to 15 times per second, because the game runs at 30 frames per second. You have to press the button and release it on alternating frames, so you can't mash faster than 15 times per second, and 7.5 is the minimum to maintain height. So anything between 7.5 and 15 makes you gain height. That's pretty fast. So for mashing, I want to show how to mash, and then I'll go ahead and explain more in depth on how I like to set up the zombie hover. So for mashing, depends on your controller, obviously, but the way that I see a lot of people learn mashing is they just one-hand it. Kind of just one hand and just kind of tense up your arm, and so that your hand vibrates. But that is very, very, I'm already tired from doing that. Just from that, my arm is very, very sore. So that I really don't recommend if you want to do longer zombie hovers. It works for shorter ones, but I really don't recommend it if you're doing a long one. You're really just going to hurt your hand in the long run. So what I recommend is 2 thumb mashing, and I'm going to explain how to do it on 3 different controllers: the gamepad, the Pro controller, and the GameCube controller. So let's start off with the gamepad, which a lot of people struggle the most with learning mashing. However, mashing with 2 thumbs is possible on literally any controller. You just got to know how to do it. So on the gamepad, this is a really big controller. So to do 2 thumbs, I need to turn it sideways. I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to use my palms to grip the edges. Now be careful, because as you may just notice, I pressed R, and that pulled the grapple. Now if I had bomb on R, I press bomb, now I can't mash B while I'm midair. I mean, I can when I'm on the ground, but in midair, you press bomb, you just pull bomb, you fall all the way down. The only way to cancel is by pressing leaf. So make sure, just be careful not to press R, because it's literally right there. It's like literally right there. So just kind of like go around it, palm like right below it. So anyway, I'll need home buffer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point my thumbs. And I'm going to kind of grip it. I'm going to curve my fingers around. But really what's moving, when I'm going to be moving, pivoting by my palms like this. I'm not going to be moving it with my fingers. I mean, you can, but you want to make sure you mostly grip it this way. And so I'm going to point my thumbs like this. And so I point them at the button. And so when I mash, I'm not going to be moving my thumbs. They're going to be staying steady. I'm actually going to be moving my arms like this. Now I'm moving my arms. And my arms are moving the controller, and that's moving the controller between my 2 thumbs like this. So kind of start off slow like this, and then you can get faster and faster. Now make sure you're not going like this. This does not work. The reason this does not work is that if you don't release the button fully before pressing it each time, it'll just be held, because you're holding it, and then you're pressing another one, it's holding it, and the button needs to be released for at least 1 frame between each press. So you want to fully lift your fingers off of the button each time. You may see it better from this angle, like this. Okay, so that's on gamepad. Now I'm going to show it in Pro Controller. It's the same concept. Palm the thing. You can have support with your fingers, but you're mostly moving the controller with your palms. And so point your thumbs, and then move your arms, not your thumbs. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And you can go faster and faster and faster. And the fastest is 15, so you can actually go over. And if you go over, you just drop a bunch of height, because if you go over 15, it will count as the button being held. So you want to not go over 15. And on B, not on B, on the GameCube controller. Yes, on B, on the GameCube controller. So I'm going to, once again, grip it like this, and then point my thumbs at B, and then move my arms like this. Make sure you're fully releasing B each time. And yeah, so that's basically how to mash. I do want to mention that when you get faster, how even your rhythm matters a lot. Because if you're doing this, like that, but really quickly, like they're not even spread out, like what, like even rhythm like this. If they're kind of like uneven, like kind of all over the place, what'll happen is, if those two presses are on consecutive frames, they won't count as different presses. So you have to press the button every single other frame to get that frame perfect 15 per second. So the faster you mash, the more frame perfect it gets. And 15 times per second is literally frame perfect mashing. So it's possible that you could be mashing at 15 times per second if you were registering inputs at a higher frame rate. But because it's at 30 frame rate, it could not be registering as 15 times per second. Just giving you a reference. So anyway, let's continue, and I'm going to explain how to do liftoff and how to get yourself in the air. So liftoff, I find the easiest to do on gamepad, but it really is possible on Pro Controller to learn. It's just harder to learn. But what I want to show is that, so is this different on HD versus GameCube? In that in the HD version, you can't pause while dead. Pausing while dead does not work unless you press minus and now you're playing on the gamepad. And you can pause while dead on the gamepad screen, but we don't really play on the gamepad screen because you don't have the way to display it. So there is another way you can pause, and that is by home buffering, by pressing this home button right here. You press the home button, that works even if you're dead. But that's very gamepad only for liftoff, because so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be jump slashing, and we're going to be pressing home right after. So you can just try it without getting hit. In that last 10 frame window, for the very first liftoff, we're going to press A and home at the same time, and it's going to look like this. And but he's not going to do his full jump slash. He's just it's going to get canceled. This is useful because you can switch from pressing A. You can switch your grip, so you can go from pressing A, and then you can press home, and then switch your grip, and then start mashing B. So that's very, very useful, because on the gamepad, you can't hold target and mash B at the same time unless you literally press the thing into your leg, which is really annoying. But then you could go from pressing A to pressing B very quickly. But that's why I recommend home buffering if you're on gamepad. But this doesn't work on Pro Controller, because if I were to press home, so I'm going to show you, if I press home, then I press home again, I start mashing B, you see there's a giant delay where I can't mash. That's a thing on Pro Controller only. So on Pro Controller, we can't do this home buffering setup to switch our grip, but that's fine because we can do an unbuffered setup. So I'm going to show you how to do all of that. First, I'm going to show the easier version, which I think is on gamepad. So we're going to go to 0 health, and then we're going to press A and B at the A and home at the same time. There we go. And so sometimes you may not see Link do the jump slash before the home buffer. That's if you press them on the exact same frame. But in this case, I pressed A probably just a little bit before home. And so now I can press either resume on the screen. So there's resume. You can press resume right there. It's in the middle button. Or you can press the home button and make sure you're going to have to switch from the home button to gripping very quickly. So press home, and then you're going to start gripping and mashing B. So here we go. And there we go. So that's how you do that on the gamepad. So I'm going to die, and I'm going to switch to Pro Controller. I'm going to show you how I do liftoff on Pro Controller. So as I mentioned, you can't home buffer, but we're going to have to do unbuffered liftoff. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to press A, and then very quickly switch to pressing B. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So the way that I recommend learning it is first start off by just timing the A press, which is easy. It's 10 frames. It really is not a hard window. So you're gonna hold target and you're gonna press A to do a jump slash. So we're gonna go down to 0 health. Very handy with hero mode. Now I'm just gonna press A. I'm just gonna hold target and press A. And A. I got the jump slash. Good. All right, so that's the 10 frame window. The next B press is a 4 frame window. So I'm gonna press AB this time. So we're adding one button at a time to basically work our way up to doing the entire sequence. So now I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to go down to 0 health. And I'm going to press AB. It's gonna be AB, like this. AB, 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 like that. We're gonna try that. And you should see Link rise just a little bit both times. You should see him go up twice. I'll show what it looks like. Okay, you probably couldn't see it because I was behind the tree, but you get the point. Link will go up twice. So go yip yip, and then it'll fall and die. So now and that was A with the right hand, B with the left hand. But then the next B press is gonna have to be the right thumb, because you're gonna have to go right on the A, and then left B, and then right B. Because your right thumb has to move between A and B right after that press. This can be kind of hard to learn this shift, so I would just recommend doing the first 3 buttons. And just try to do ABB. So ABB, 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 and then try to do it with dying. So now we're gonna do it with death. So we see if we can get all 3 presses. And that's right, left, right. So A, right, left, B, right, B. I'm gonna try that. There we go. So I just got all 3. And so the next step after that, I recommend is just doing the entire thing. So going A, B, 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 all fully unbuffered. So that's the last step, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like. And then we'll wrap this up. And for this, I'm actually gonna go to the barrier for this last part. So this is why I'm at this save file, because I really like practicing zombie hovering at the barrier, and I'll show you why. So I'm gonna clip across Hyrule and go to the barrier. I really like practicing it here, and I'll explain why. And normally, if you're at this part of the run, you're at Morph Hover, so you can just backtrack and go to the barrier, and you can just go just to the barrier right here. So the barrier is useful because it deals you damage every time you hit it, so it deals you knockback. So I can just keep practicing liftoff over and over again. So I can just aim towards the barrier with my zombie hover, and then we'll do unbuffered liftoff. There we go. And then I can get hit by the barrier, and then we can try it again. So I can just practice. This is a really good place to practice liftoff and zombie hovering. And so there, I unfortunately messed up the liftoff. I think my A press was off. Remember that if your A press is off, your B press can then, unfortunately, the B press will then slash your sword on the ground, and that will cause you to slash, and then you die. So that's kind of what happened there. But anyway, that wraps it up for my zombie hover tutorial. I hope this helped you. Remember to do stretches. If you haven't learned stretches, definitely learn them. It's good for your hand health, because this trick can be very stressful on your hands, especially doing for long term. So that's it. I hope this tutorial helped you today. Good luck with learning zombie hovering, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.